How many of you grew up believing God was your true father and that he sees everything you do and everything you did and everything you do? And I did, and I don't think I turned out too bad. Would you want your children growing up not knowing right from wrong and just doing whatever they thought was right? I don't think so. That is what Zuckerman thought should happen in households today. That kids should be able to make their own decisions and not be based off if someone is watching them like God. The problem in today's society are that children have no guidance. God is guidance. They need that big figure in life to know what to do in different situations so they can ask themselves, what would God do? Judging people has no relation to being religious. It's just how you feel about different things. And the last problem with Zuckerman's idea is that he states that people in prison are religious, and that's why they're in there. I'm going to discuss the problems with Zuckerman's thoughts. To start out, I'm going to discuss his article that he wrote and the main points I think are completely offensive. According to the op-ed section in the LA Times, the January 5th edition, that is, Phil Zuckerman explains that children do not need God to be good. He states that if we start caring more about our fellow man than we do our deity is the answer, which saying if we start believing more in ourselves than God, that's the answer to everything. Zuckerman states that the reason why godless children are less racist, less nationalistic, and more tolerant is that they were raised without the notion of being favored by God. The first problem is that if every family was secular, meaning they don't believe in a higher power if they don't believe in a higher power along with their children, they would have no guidance. Warren, which is a high believer of God, states that a parent's primary responsibility is to teach their children to love God. It is the first crucial choice a child has to learn. Because it is a choice they will be faced with over and over in every stage of their life. Second, he states that reasons people are so judgmental is because they are religious. The Bible states, those who believe in him will not be judged. And that was John 5:24. People think God is up there watching everything we do, and he is, but he's not writing it down. He's erasing it and forgiving us for the bad things that we have done. That is the whole purpose. We all make mistakes, but he is there to forgive us and for us to move on with life. Next, let's talk about all the things God can help you cope with and how having him in your life can help you, or life can be better than without God, as Zuckerman says. First, God is always there no matter what, Warren states. As a child, that is probably hard to believe because when you're alone in a dark room, you think you're just alone. He's always there wherever you are. The deepest level of worship is praising God in spite of pain. Thanking God during trial, trusting him when tempted, surrendering while suffering, and loving him when he seems distant. Second, if your parents start teaching you God's ways early in life, you will grow up knowing his promises. And when you know those promises, even in your most confusing and low times, you'll know you're always covered by him. Warren's way of saying it is that God's promises are like an insurance policy. When you have insurance, you don't have to worry about how you'll pay the bill when a medical issue arises. Now that I have talked about the things that we can do to help us, now let's talk about some things that Zuckerman believes in that I do not agree with. First, Zuckerman thinks that children should not live off the fact that God is watching them. He believes that they should live by how they want to be treated and how and why we do things that we do. Zuckerman also believes that on holidays, if parents don't agree, and if they're secular, they should come up with another place or thing to do. Like him on a Jewish holiday, because his past family were Jewish, but he's secular, so he does not teach his children those beliefs. He does his own thing. So instead of going to church, he takes his family on a hike in the woods, which isn't a bad thing, but I don't believe in that. We all need to understand that this needs attention. Everyone has their own beliefs, and that's okay, but saying children do not need God is unacceptable. In conclusion, Zuckerman's belief on God and higher power are that is not needed in children's lives to become a good kid. Me personally, I disagree because if you just let them do what they want, you're going to end up with a wild child. Warren quotes the Bible's most famous promise. John 3:16, Jesus tells us, "For God so loved the world that he gave us his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life." God promises we won't perish if we believe in him. Let me leave you to think about this. Don't be that parent that just lets your children do anything and everything they want. Guide them in the religion you believe is right, and let them know that there is a higher power up there, and he or she will always know that God can forgive his or her sins.